going on, everyone? So it is official. The San Antonio Spurs have drafted Dylan Harper with the number 2 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Just when you thought it was going to be somebody else in a left turn, wrong. The San Antonio Spurs do the shocker in drafting Dylan Harper. But no, in all seriousness, right, Dylan Harper was the one that was expected, right? Him and Cooper Flagg are looked at as the 2 guys head and shoulders above anybody else. They look to be the 2 kind of franchise cornerstones for many organizations. Obviously, the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, right? But adding a Dylan Harper could give them that bona fide, here you go, we're building and heading in the direction of a, dynasty even. Obviously, at some point with the new CBA, guys have to get paid and all that stuff, but you figure that out later on down the road. Right? Draft the best player available. There were talks leading into it of, is it going to be somebody else, right? If they do the Kevin Durant trade, what happens with that? Also, there's questions with adding a Dylan Harper with Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox, and how are things going to shape up, and is he going to be able to fit right in, and is he going to get the opportunities and all the things necessary to really thrive and shine? Because it's very different when you're the number 1 option on a bad team where you get to be the franchise guy, and it's like you can do whatever you want, you could go out there and you can really take your time to develop. You're going to get the minutes, the role, the opportunity, all of it. It's another thing when you go to a team and you're the 3rd, 4th option, right? You're coming off the bench, right? Even if you are starting, it's like you're limited in what you can do because you're playing a role, you're playing a part, right? Because the Spurs are a team that want to be good, and they want to be good right away, right? They don't want to be this team that is going to spend the next 5 years carving things out. So Dylan Harper's got to be ready. Now, look, he's a rookie. No one's expecting him to come in and be the best player in the league right out the gate. I'm sure there's going to be things that he is great and fantastic at. I'm sure there are things where we go, that is why the Spurs drafted him. And I'm sure there's going to be things where it's like, man, he really needs to work on that, right? He's really struggling in this area, struggling in that area. Spurs in general like to kind of bring their guys along. You saw that even with Victor Wembanyama, right? I mean, earlier in the season, there were games where he's playing 18 minutes. And it's like, why is your star rookie that you just drafted that's supposed to be a transcending player playing 18 minutes? And then as you saw the season progress, gets more and more of an expanded role, kind of becomes more of the focal point, and then also starts, picking up to the 30-minute range. And then you see games where he's, double overtime game where he's getting 55 minutes, right? And that is what I expect them to do with Dylan Harper. Same thing with, Stephon Castle. You saw Stephon Castle kind of, getting spot minutes at times and kind of all over the place. And then, part of it I think was just circumstance, De'Aaron Fox being out, things like that. But you saw him start to, again, progress over the season. Is Dylan Harper going to be able to come in and be comfortable in that? Is he going to be able to adjust to that? And also, if you're expecting him to come in and show that franchise cornerstone transcending play, you might be a little disappointed because he's going to have to kind of play that role and be that 6th man. You might see glimpses, you might see moments, but it's not the same thing as if he was to go to, say, a Wizards team and get free range. Again, and I'm not trying to undersell Dylan Harper. I'm not trying to no, I'm just trying to have people understand, right? He's coming to a team that has multiple players in which he's going to be looked to play a role. Now, as his career progresses, I think he will take more and more into the forefront. I think he will be kind of the guy. You look at Victor Wembanyama. I could see Dylan Harper and Victor Wembanyama. Those are your 2 guys that no matter what, you're not getting rid of. You're souped up SGA and Chet. Right? Kind of look at that. It's and look, you look at Dylan Harper, his pro comparisons are a James Harden and SGA. If Dylan Harper can become half of what those guys are, you're in excellent shape. Right? And then you still have, Stephon Castle, and we'll see what happens later on down the road. This is the guy that you had to take. No matter what, you had to take him. Right? Even if there are questions about the fit, even if there are questions about, because look, there's always going to be natural concerns. You're betting on a 19-year-old to be great. We've seen plenty of opportunities. We've seen plenty of guys come in. I mean, Zion Now, a lot of Zion is just can't get out of his own way, but that guy was looked at as like a can't miss, transcending best prospect since LeBron James type of guy, and half the teams in the league wouldn't even touch him. Even if they were to get him for free, they probably wouldn't touch him, right? So again, you never know what these guys are going to be. I've talked about it. You look at like a Michael Carter Williams. The guy is averaging a near triple double his rookie season. He's out of the league by the time his next contract finishes. You look at Tyreek Evans. The guy averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists his rookie year. Now, again, some of his issues were he just couldn't get out of his own way, but also he was never really able to replicate. Like he never really got better. He was just kind of like, he was a good player, but he was never that guy that people thought he was going to be. You never know. For every LeBron James and Victor Wembanyama and guys like that, there are hundreds of, Josh Jacksons and Andrew Bennett's and, even look at a guy like an Andrew Wiggins, who Andrew Wiggins is a very good player, but he's not that top pick guy that's going to transform your team like many thought he was in the beginning. Again, Dylan Harper might be every bit the guy that is believed, thought, and expected him to be. Right? I don't want to ever sell a young man short. Right? He, for all we know, he could be the best player in basketball in 5 years. Who knows? Maybe even better than Wemby. Who knows? Right? Again, I never want to sell a young man short because you don't know. But we also got to keep in mind, talking about young kids that are coming in, that there's going to be risks, right? And I still wouldn't be entirely shocked if they end up trading him at some point, right? But it's a problem that you figure out. Right, it's something that you do now. If Giannis becomes available, which there's talks about him becoming available, like if he becomes available, maybe you look down the road. But also you can make an argument Dylan Harper would have more value because now he's not a pick where there's no monetary value. Now he actually is a salary in which you can take and now transition and add to match whatever you need to. Sometimes that's different, especially as a number 2 pick. I think he'd be making like $7 or $8 million, somewhere in that range. It might be a little more, but somewhere in that range. So you're talking about, he's a guy that is going to get paid that you could add in salary and whatnot if you wanted to or if you needed to. I'm not saying that they will. I'm not saying that they should, anything like that. I'm just saying, right? Who knows? But, De'Aaron Fox, right? Stephon Castle. Maybe that's what it is if Dylan Harper really does kind of emerge and evolve into his own. But I'm really excited. I'm excited to see kind of how does he fit? How do the Spurs make this work? Right? Do they go like 3 guard lineups? Does he just come off the bench all year as a rookie? As a number 2 pick, he probably isn't going to be super thrilled about that. And I understand, people go, well, Manu did it. Manu is not, every NBA player. There's a reason Manu is special, right? There's a reason that Manu is one and we've never seen and never had one before or after Manu, right? Manu was a very specific situation. And you're talking about a young kid that is looked at as a franchise guy, and it's like, I'm the guy. Manu wasn't that, right? So you're looking at Dylan Harper where it's like, man, I could have went to any other team and been the guy, and now I'm here. So again, there's I'm curious to see how much opportunity do the Spurs really kind of relinquish to Dylan Harper right out the gate. Is it something, again, I do expect them to kind of wean him in, but I also, again, what is that? Is it 18, 20 minutes or is it 25, 30 minutes? Right? Is it like 20 minutes the first quarter of the season, and then it's like, then he's 25, and then by the end of the season, he's 30, 35 minutes, right? Or is it something where it's like he's 15 minutes, and then by the time the season's over, he's 20 to 25 minutes? Again, he might not be very happy about that, and he's a young kid that, is going to come in, and he might look at it, not everybody is going to be so outspoken, but you never know, right? You don't know how players are going to react. You don't know how players are going to respond. You don't know how they're going to take it. You don't know if he's going to be able to play through it to the level in which you want him to play through it. And again, if you're a team that's trying to compete right away, you want him to be as good as humanly possible, right? You want him to be in that conversation for Rookie of the Year, even if he doesn't win it, even if it is a Cooper Flag or something like that. You want him to at least be in that discussion. You want him to be in that. And look, in all honesty, Cooper Flag might not win it. He's not going to be on a stacked team already that has Hall of Famers and trying to win a championship and all this stuff, right? So again, it wouldn't be crazy if the Spurs end up getting the 3 for 3 and Castle, Wemby, and Dylan Harper are all winning Rookie of the Year. But I also don't know if Castle or if Dylan Harper will get the opportunities to win Rookie of the Year. But we'll see. We'll see regardless. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What do you think? I feel what your thoughts. How do you feel about having a Dylan Harper on the San Antonio Spurs? I'd love to hear it either way. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.